Welcome to today's demonstration and webinar series for Copilot for DevOps, specific for business analysts. My name is Shahir, and I am from Professional Services here at Modern Requirement. Thank you all for joining. Copilot for DevOps is a very powerful AI-driven extension for Azure DevOps. It is created specifically for requirement management. Copilot for DevOps injects a robust feature set into Azure DevOps environment, which allows you to empower users with features like AI assistant, authoring for aligned with standard, automating refinements for audit-ready requirements, and allowing you for template-driven consistencies. Copilot for DevOps is #1 AI assistant natively built within Azure DevOps. Backed by Azure DevOps OpenAI security policies, users can be confident that their data is secure. Early adopters are reporting improvements in their efficiency within their projects, enabling them for faster authoring, few review cycles, as well as a significant reduction in overall project's cost. This is because Copilot for DevOps is so packed with capabilities that address some of the most inefficient elements within your projects. Some of those elements are elicit, which allows you to quickly write requirements. Analyze allows you to assess how well written your requirements are based off of certain analysis methods. Dynamic prompt, which is a very open-ended module, allowing you to have a custom criteria for evaluating different requirements. Copilot for DevOps includes features that aid requirements when it comes to elicitation, automated gap analysis, and creating of AI-driven visualizations. Features like these help to eliminate the grunt work so users can more focus their time on the efforts for compliance and other project critical tasks. We're excited to showcase these capabilities of Copilot for DevOps and how you can address your regulatory compliance requirements efficiently by leveraging AI. Now let's jump straight into the demonstration. Now we know managing requirements can be messy, ideas scattered everywhere, changes causing rippling effect, as well as documentation slowing things down. Copilot for DevOps brings in AI-powered efficiency towards managing your requirement, streamlining everything seamlessly, starting from creating your requirements to creating visualization, analyzing your requirements, and so on and so forth, enabling you for a smarter, faster decision-making at every stage of your project. Copilot for DevOps inherits your single sign-ons as well as your process templates from within Azure DevOps. So whatever process template with custom work items you're using, Copilot for DevOps will inherit that. You can invoke Copilot for DevOps in a lot of different places using ADO, one of which is through backlogs. You can simply select any work item as a reference point, such as an epic, a feature, a user story, or even a test case. Simply select a work item that you would like to have as a reference point. Open up the context menu. Click on Copilot for DevOps. We just invoked Copilot for DevOps using our epic as a reference point. This will allow us to use this reference work item towards different outputs and utilizing different functionalities that are available to us using Copilot for DevOps. There we have it. We just invoked Copilot for DevOps using this epic as a reference work item. And now all of the different functionalities that are available to us within Copilot for DevOps suite of tools are available. The first thing we're going to talk about is elicitation. Now, turning ideas into structured work items can be time consuming. So once your project requirements are mapped out, such as a well-built out epic, Elicit can help you easily generate structured work items, such as features. I can simply select to create features within this epic and simply click on generate. Copilot for DevOps will use the referenced epic, look into its title, description, as well as any of the existing links within our backlogs to elicit for potential new features that we can leverage. I can quickly select the ones that are applicable to our project scope. I can select a singular output or a singular potential new feature, multiple, or even select all. Review the output for those selected potential new features on the right-hand side panel in terms of the output fields of titles and description in this case. And then I can also make edits to it as well. So I'm not stuck with exactly what AI provided me with. To make edits to the outputs, simply click on AI edits, and I can start making changes. I can ask Copilot for DevOps to provide me with any suggestions for my titles and description fields. It will quickly review both of the fields and provide me with the suggestions that I can quickly apply. Let's say my title works perfectly fine with me. I can review the suggestions for the description field. And if I agree with it, I can simply apply, and Copilot for DevOps will rewrite the description field for us based off of the suggestion that it provided us with. I can also change the length from short to long for any of the selected fields. And Copilot for DevOps will rewrite that field for us. Additionally, I can also ask Copilot for DevOps to polish any of the outputted fields, as well as change the readability level from elementary to expert. As a part of our V6 release for Copilot for DevOps, we also have integrated chat right within Copilot for DevOps AI edits functionality, where I can really talk to these features and make changes to it using Copilot for DevOps. I can come in here and I can ask for any requirements or any criteria that I might have in order to modify any of these fields. I also have an option to add in any documentation as a reference point towards modifying these selected output fields. Once I'm happy with my updates, I can simply come in here, save and close, and that draft of the feature or the potential new feature is now rewritten based off of our edits. And I can go ahead and do the same thing for other potential new features as well. Once I'm happy with my changes, I can simply come in here and click on Create Linked Work Items to publish these work items into an actual feature within Azure DevOps. Once I select Create Linked Work Items, the link window pop-up opens up where I can specify exactly which link type I would like to have these features with this epic. This is for traceability purpose. We'll select child in this case and click on Create. And just like that, within a few clicks of the button, Copilot for DevOps not only created brand new features, but also linked those features to the actual epic that we had as a reference point. It also provides us with the work item IDs, and our backlog gets updated as well. Using elicitation, I can not only go down and create work items, I can also create my own hierarchy based off of my process templates. So for this feature, let's suppose I can click into it and start building out my user stories. Simply select to create user stories and click on generate. To create a I can simply click into one of the features that I just created and start building out my user stories. Simply select to create user stories and then click on generate. Copilot for DevOps is going to look into the title and description of this feature that we just created in order to elicit for potential new user stories. Just like how with features, I can simply come in here, select one, select all, or select multiple user stories. Review the output in terms of the different output fields such as title, description, and acceptance criteria in this case on the right-hand side panel. Make edits to it if need be, and then create linked work items. And that's how easy it is to go from a singular work item as a reference point to create an entire hierarchy. Now, using Copilot for DevOps, you have the capability to refine the outputs as you go as well. So at any point, whether I'm building for features, my user stories, my test cases, I can insert what's known as custom instructions. Custom instructions are your guardrail instructions or guardrails that you set for Copilot for DevOps that Copilot for DevOps will refer to when it comes to providing you with the output. It helps you with refining the output to fit your basic needs. These custom instructions are for either titles or the description with the details. And I can start typing in my specific custom instructions. These custom instructions, for the one that are most reused, can also be saved into what's known as text blocks. This is your text block library. You can save any of your custom instructions either under My Text Block or Shared Text Block folder. And then you'll have access to all of your custom instructions. Custom instructions could be a certain compliance standard that you'd like to follow, a specific standard while writing specific requirements within your organization that you'd like to follow. You can specifically use those kind of custom instructions as well. For instance, we'll use this custom instruction where I'm asking Copilot for DevOps that instead of as a user perspective for my user stories, I would like to have from program manager's perspective. Simply insert this custom instruction or text block, and this is going to be referred to or referred by Copilot for DevOps when eliciting for your user stories now. Additionally, for my details, let's use some other text blocks, such as a specific standard or a template for output. Here I'm asking Copilot for DevOps to provide me with explicit headings for purpose, scope, as well as function when it comes to providing the output within the description field. I can simply insert this. And now Copilot for DevOps will have this available to us. And let's use one more for acceptance criteria as well. We'll use this custom instruction where I'm asking Copilot for DevOps to provide the custom instructions, to provide the acceptance criteria in as a I want to so that format. Simply insert it, and you have your text blocks available to you in terms of custom instructions. Once you have your custom instructions added, simply exit out. Check mark represents that there is a custom instruction or text block in place. Now, if I generate, Copilot for DevOps will redefine as well as refine the output for us based off of those custom instructions that we just put in place. If you notice, all of these user stories are from as a program manager's perspective, exactly how we explicitly mentioned within one of our text blocks. I can come in here, select the most appropriate ones that are applicable to our project scope, review the output on the right-hand side panel. The output now will contain the explicit headings of purpose, scope, as well as function, as mentioned within the text block that we used, as well as our acceptance criteria is in as a, I want to, so that format, exactly how we wanted it to be. Using custom instructions, you can refine your requirements or refine the output that you're looking for when it comes to writing requirements. Once you have this, you can simply come in here, use AI edits to refine it further if need be. And once you're happy with all the updates, you can simply come in here, click on Create Linked Work Items, specify the link type for traceability purposes, and click on Create. Just like that, we've created brand new user stories and linked them directly underneath this feature. Using Copilot for DevOps, I can go into this user story that we just created and start building out our test cases as well. Simply select to create test cases, add in any custom instructions if need be, click on Generate. Copilot for DevOps is going to look into the input fields of the user story that we selected and provide you with a tailored list of test cases. We can add in an additional input field, such as acceptance criteria, and regenerate the output. I can select the most appropriate test cases from the left-hand side panel that are applicable to our project's scope, as well as click on See More for those edge test cases as well. Here, I can simply select the most appropriate test cases that are applicable to our project scope, review the output in terms of description, steps, actions, as well as expected results on the right-hand side panel, make modifications to it using AI edits, and then create them as an actual test case within ATO. Select link type. For traceability purpose, we'll do tested by in this case and click on create. And just like that, we've created brand new test cases, link them directly to this user story. And then we've created an entire hierarchy starting from one reference point towards eliciting for all the different requirements. Now, at any given point, you also have an ability or capability to upload documentations. You can click on Set up elicitation and upload any reference documentation, such as your SRS documentation, your BRDs, and so on and so forth. You can simply upload that documentation, and Copilot for DevOps will analyze that document towards creating specific requirements for you. You can have this as an additional reference point towards eliciting for different requirements when it comes to building out your project. You can also upload Visio files. You can also attach transcripts of the meetings with your stakeholders. And then Copilot for DevOps will refer to these kind of documentations towards providing you with a narrowed down or more focused output for those requirements. So that is elicitation. Once the work items that you've created, whether it be using elicitation, so leveraging Copilot for DevOps, or the work items within your backlog, once you've created those work items, it is very much crucial that to ensure that all of your written requirements meet the highest standards. That's where a tool like Analyze comes into place. Analyze takes the guesswork out of requirement evaluation by leveraging AI to review them for different analysis methods, such as 6Cs, Invest, Moscow, Pablo, SWOT. Simply select the analysis method that you're interested in and click on Generate. Copilot for DevOps is going to look into the referenced work item, look into its title and description, and analyze it against the 6Cs methodologies, which is if the written requirement is clear, concise, concrete, consistent, correct, and complete. Based off of each of these quality criteria, Copilot for DevOps is also going to rate it out of 10, 10 being the highest. For each of the quality criteria, it also provides you with the rationale for the rating, as well as any of the suggested improvements that you can put into place to bring that score from 8 to a 10 perhaps. Most of our current clientele are utilizing tools such as Analyze as a standard best practice for their BAs to essentially elevate the written quality of the requirements that you have. They have a set standard that, hey, all of our backlogs should be at least 80 to 85% of the overall quality score. This helps identify any inconsistencies early on and eliminate any rework for later on within the project. Using Analyze, you can also add in custom instructions as well for any specific quality criteria that you might need to implement or have Copilot for DevOps check against any work item. Simply writing your custom instructions for that specific criteria, and Copilot for DevOps will analyze the quality of written requirement based off of that criteria as well. And I can switch to any other existing work item that I just created and analyze that as well. The next analysis functionality that we're going to look at is dynamic prompt. Now, if you notice with elicit and analyze, it's very much one-click publish. With elicit, you simply select the work item you have reference point and elicit for specific work items types. For analyze, you have selected analysis method that you're checking for written requirements of how well written they are to evaluate them. With dynamic prompt, it's a very much open-ended module. You can create custom criteria towards evaluating a bulk of requirement. You can also leverage some of the publicly known compliance standards towards evaluating how well written those requirements are. Using dynamic prompt, you can leverage what's the queries that you might have built in ADO. Simply select the queries that you're interested in and start writing in the prompt for the criteria that you'd like to evaluate those queries with. And now for the most reused prompts, what you can do is you can save them into the prompt library. Some of the most reused ones that I personally use are gap analysis for ISO 26262 standard, or for 2701, 27001, and 27701. You can also create GDPR compliance reports, test coverage reports, gap analysis, RICE models, and so on and so forth. For the demonstration purpose, I'll showcase the gap analysis for these two ISO standards. When I open this, all of my prompts, as well as the query that I saved within the prompt library, populates. In this specific query, what I'm asking Copilot for DevOps to do is look into my healthcare consumer query within my ADO. Check if all of the requirements or work items within that query are meeting these two standards. So I'm essentially evaluating or doing a gap analysis against a set standard for my specific queried work items. I'm also explicitly asking Copilot for DevOps to provide the output in a tabular format. And I'm explicitly mentioning exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to each of the columns in that table. Once we have our query and prompt ready, simply click on Generate, and Copilot for DevOps will evaluate our requirements within the query. It will parse into each of those the work items within the query, and then analyze how those requirements are meeting these two set standards. As mentioned earlier, using Copilot for DevOps, you can use dynamic prompt to evaluate against publicly known standards, ISO standards, compliance. You can create test coverage reports, or even a custom criteria for evaluating your written requirements as well. This saves a lot of time when it comes to analyzing your requirements against a set standard. Copilot for DevOps will parse into each of the work items within that query or the two queries that you might use. And then it will provide you with a report format of what exactly you might be missing when it comes to those specific standards. And there we have it. Just like that, using Copilot for DevOps, you can analyze your written requirements based off of a set standard. Here, the output is based off of exactly what I asked Copilot for DevOps to provide me with. These are all of my written requirements within our backlog, which we queried for specifically. Then Copilot for DevOps is analyzing and rating it out of 10 in this column for this specific standard. Reasons why we're not compliant. What are the gaps within those specific requirements when it comes to our ISO 27001 standard? It is also providing for suggested improvements that we can implement to be compliant with that standard, to eliminate those gaps, as well as which of the specific sections are we not meeting when it comes to that set standard. And then it's doing the same thing for the same requirements for the other compliance or ISO standard that we're using. It is rating it out of 10. Reasons or the gaps within our requirements, as well as suggested improvements and which of the sections are we not meeting when it comes to this specific ISO standard. Dynamic prompt is a very much open-ended module where you can analyze your written requirements based off a specific set standard, and it will provide you with a report for that analysis. Using Copilot for DevOps, you can create different artifacts as well. such as create different diagrams as well as create documents. First, let's look into the diagram itself. Using the diagram module or functionality within Copilot for DevOps, you can quickly create different types of diagrams by referencing specific work items from your backlog. You can use a singular work item as a reference point or add in more work items towards creating your diagram. You can find those work items by simply searching it for those work items using work item ID or titles. Once you have these work items, I can simply come in here, start typing in my prompt. This prompt, by default, is pre-populated for this specific flowchart of a diagram. I can select different types of diagrams as well, and the prompt will automatically change based off of the type of diagram selected. Let's create a flowchart. This is the default prompt. I can come in here and make modifications to it if need be, upload specific files as a reference document towards creating those kind of diagrams for us, and simply click on generate. Copilot for DevOps will analyze your referenced work items as well as any of the uploaded attachments to create a diagram for you. Just like that. Since we have integrated chat functionality within the diagram as well, I can make modifications on the fly. Let's suppose if I wanted to essentially expand on this specific node, I can ask chat to do it. I can make modifications to the diagram itself on the fly, make changes to it. Once I'm happy with the changes, I can publish them into an actual work item in the ADO. There we have it. Once we're done with making changes to it by writing in our prompts in the chat, we're happy with the diagram that we've got, I can simply save it as an image file, a PDF file, or a Word file. I also have an option to publish this into an actual work item with an ADO. I can create a brand new work item. We'll select diagram work item as a type to publish it. And I'll publish into the description field of this diagram work item type. I'll also include the explanation as well. Copilot for DevOps will generate the explanation of that diagram and publish it into the work item that it creates. We'll simply go ahead and publish into the diagram type work item. Copilot for DevOps will not only add the diagram, but also the explanation as well as the markdown diagram as well into the work item. This is the work item that we got. I'll quickly showcase exactly what that looks like. So we'll open up this work item in ADO 53796. And there we have it. We have our diagram published into the work item, as well as detailed explanation of the diagram and the markdown for that diagram as well. Using Copilot for DevOps, once you've published a diagram into an actual work item, you can also create sub-diagrams and markdown diagrams as well. You can link those sub-diagrams to this actual diagram that we just published. The next module we can quickly look at is Document Generator. Using Copilot for DevOps, you can reference a singular work item as a reference towards creating a diagram. Using Copilot for DevOps, you can reference a singular work item towards creating a document, or have a list of work items by searching it through queries. To create the diagram for you, we'll use this specific work item with its entire hierarchy as a reference point, and start typing in the instructions of exactly what kind of documentation we're looking for. For this specific hierarchy, let's create a SOP documentation for this. For any of the different functionalities within Copilot for DevOps, it's very much user-friendly. You do not have to be an advanced user of AI in order to get the full capability out of it. And towards that, what we have provided you with is whenever you're writing prompts within Copilot for DevOps, you can simply write exactly what you're looking for and then rewrite the prompt. Copilot for DevOps becomes your prompt engineer, and it will rewrite the prompt for you. You can quickly review the output, make changes to it if need be, and then start generating the document. I can also reference previous SOP documents or previous files in order to refine the output for us. Then we can simply either generate a document, or have a Q&A session with Copilot for DevOps to refine the output even further. If we select to generate Q&A, Copilot for DevOps will quickly analyze what kind of documentation you're trying to create, as well as the referenced work items. And based off of that, it will provide you with a tailored Q&A session where you can answer specific questions such as, what's the primary scope of the documentation? Who is your primary audience? What kind of details you would like to include? Is your target audience more technically advanced? And so on and so forth. These are some of the examples. But based off of the prompts, as well as the reference work items, Copilot for DevOps will tailor the questionnaire targeted towards that kind of specific document to refine the output for you. There we have it. Based off of our prompts, as well as the referenced work items, Copilot for DevOps generated specific questionnaire to refine the document for us. Questions such as, what is the primary focus of this SOP document? I can go ahead and start answering my questions. I can select the most appropriate questions that will help me target to specific audience. If we want to use it for compliance and regulatory standards, or sorry, if we want to have our, if we want to refine our document based off of a specific compliance or regulatory measures, I can simply select this kind of question. And I can go ahead and start answering the most appropriate questions that will help us refine the output for us. Once I'm done answering my questions, I can simply click on generate. Based off of the prompt, the referenced work items, any uploaded documentation, as well as the question answers, Copilot for DevOps will generate a documentation for us. And there we have it. Based off of our prompt or reference work items, as well as the question and answer session with Copilot for DevOps, Copilot for DevOps provided us with a in-depth SOP document, which includes its introduction, purpose, scope definitions, and so on and so forth. And it extracts the information from within those work items that we referred to. It also creates different flowcharts if need be. Then once you have a document ready, you can still modify it by adding in your prompts here. Once you're happy with the document that you create, you can simply save it as a Word file or a PDF file and then share it with your stakeholders. So that is the document generator. One last thing that we'll look into is chat functionality. Chat functionality is designed to provide you with that interactive assistance platform right within your Azure DevOps environment. Here you can talk to your ADO, do different or perform various tasks, such as creating work items, creating queries, publishing those queries into queries module within ADO, create different diagrams, create different documentation, analyze your requirements, all within one-stop shop. All the different functionalities that you saw using Copilot for DevOps, you can perform it in one setting using chat. Here, I can talk to my ADO by simply referring to certain work items and making changes to it as well. I can upload certain documentations and based off of that, refine requirements or create requirements as well. Using chat functionality, what I can also do is upload some specific, let's say, design documentation and create work items based off of that. I can write in the prompt for it. I can simply upload a specific documentation and start writing in my prompt of exactly what I'm trying to achieve. Here, what I'm asking Copilot for DevOps to do is refer to my design documentation. Based off of that, draft 4 brand new user stories for me. Copilot for DevOps will quickly analyze the document that we just uploaded to draft those 4 brand new user stories for us with their description as well as acceptance criteria included. I can quickly review the output for all these drafts of user stories, make changes to it to refine the output. Let's suppose we use 6E's framework. I can add in a prompt such as refining these draft of the user stories based off of a specific framework or a criteria. Based off of our prompt, Copilot for DevOps will refine the output for us. Once these drafts of user stories are refined based off of our requirements and criteria, I can simply go ahead and review these user stories. Once I'm happy with these, I can simply go ahead and publish them into Azure DevOps. Once we have finished reviewing the refined user stories, we can go ahead and publish them into an actual work item within Azure DevOps and also link it to a specific work item. We can use a prompt such as publish these user stories into ADO, link it as a child link type to feature ID 52971. Based off of our prompt, Copilot for DevOps will quickly link these draft of user stories into an actual user stories. It will publish those into an actual user story, and then also link it to a specific work item in this case. You might need to cut all of this, but I'll go back up and start explaining instead of showing. Based off of the refinements of the requirements that you have for these 4 user stories that Copilot for DevOps just drafted us with, I can go ahead and review the output after the refinement, and based off of it, I can go ahead and publish them into an actual work item or actual user story within our ADO. Using Copilot for DevOps, I can also create different diagrams. So within chat, after I'm done with publishing these user stories into ADO, I can ask for it to create a RACI diagram for me. I can even ask for a flowchart diagram, or even generate test cases right within the same chat. Copilot for DevOps is a very robust tool when it comes to managing your requirements. By leveraging AI, it allows teams to be more efficient when it comes to your requirement management, streamlining everything when it comes to your requirements, whether it be creating different requirements using elicitation, analyzing those requirements using set standards or custom standards, to create documentations, to create test cases, to even do impact assessment. Copilot for DevOps is a very robust tool with a lot of capabilities that allow your teams to manage your requirements seamlessly, enabling you for smarter, faster decision making at every stage of your project, and to eliminate that grunt work so you can focus on more project specific, so you can focus more on project so you can focus more on the project itself. Thank you very much for joining today's demonstration. It was a pleasure meeting you all. Thank you so much. Have a good one.